If I can have your attention, please. We're going to go ahead and start our city council meeting of March 5th, 2024. We'll start with a roll call, please, Faye.
Counselor Bosman's,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell, Counselor Woodruff,
Here.
Counselor Yazzie. Here. Mayor Youssef.
Here. May we have the introduction of the translator, please?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Can you let me know if you can hear my audio okay?
I sure can. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Diego Ponce here today with my colleague San Guzman, as usual, from the Community Language Cooperative, the CLC. Thank you for having us here. We're going to continue using simultaneous interpretation here on Zoom in English and Spanish. After I finish saying the instructions in both languages, we'll start the interpretation. At that moment, the globe icon is going to appear in the bottom right-hand corner of your computer screen. We'll ask you to please select that globe icon that will say interpretation and to please select your preferred language. And if you're joining the meeting on your cell phone or your tablet, please look for the more button or the three dots button to select your preferred language this other way. If you're not fully bilingual, we'll strongly encourage you to select your preferred language so you can use the interpretation if anyone were to speak in the opposite language. And if you are bilingual, then just feel free to listen to everyone in the original language. Thank you so much for that. Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Mi nombre es Diego Pons. Estoy aquí hoy con mi colega Sam Guzmán de parte de la Cooperativa Comunitaria de la Justicia del Lenguaje, el CLC. Gracias por tenernos hoy en su reunión. Vamos a comprometernos a utilizar la interpretación simultánea aquí en Zoom en ambos idiomas, inglés y español. Cuando yo termine de decir esto, se activa la interpretación y en ese momento usted va a poder ver el icono del globo de la Tierra, que es la interpretación, ahí abajo en la derecha de su pantalla. Por favor, asegúrese de elegir ese icono del globo de la Tierra, que es la interpretación, y por favor, seleccione su idioma preferido. Y si usted está asistiendo hoy a la reunión en su celular o en su tableta, por favor busque la opción que dice More, que quiere decir más, o posiblemente el botón de 3 puntos para que pueda seleccionar su idioma preferido de esa otra manera. Si usted no es completamente bilingüe, le voy a pedir que elija, por favor, su idioma preferido para que pueda utilizar la interpretación cuando alguien está hablando en el otro idioma. Y si usted sí es bilingüe, siéntase libre de escuchar a todos hoy en su idioma original. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. And with that, we're going to move on to opening remarks by mayor and council. I'll start with councilors. Do we have any opening remarks? Seeing none, then I have some good news. I'm going to go ahead and invite a group into the room. If you'll hold on for just a second. I don't think they're in the room. Are they? Are they? Okay, okay. Oh, there you are. Okay. We have the Unified Club at Durango High School joining us today for Unified Sports. They are athletes with special needs who are partnered with typical peers to participate in athletic events through Durango High School. They hosted their first ever Unified Basketball Championship at Durango High School with Bayfield, Escalante, and Durango High School recently. And we have John Hurl here, principal of Durango High School. I'm going to have him introduce the team.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this honor to be recognized in front of you guys this evening. We're really excited to be able to bring back our unified program. We've had it prior to COVID, and then we had spurts shortly thereafter. But this year has been uniquely different in that we have put together a student-led organization that is spearheading the entire program and process. So I'd like to invite our few members of our team up. We do have 9 athletes that have special needs that are partnered with about 14 typical peers. So that's what makes up our program. And we meet every Wednesday during our enrichment time and participate together in a variety of different activities. So I'm going to turn it over to our president, Austin Romero, and invite the rest of the team to come on up so
Yes,
we can tell you a little
please.
bit more about the program.
Thank you so much. If the team could come up too, we'll hear from your president, or you call him the president of the
Yes.
team, and then we'll would love to recognize you guys. Thank you so much for being here. You can, yeah, that sounds great. And when you're done, we're going to get a photo.
Hello, my name is Austin Romero. I'm president and founder of the Unified Sports Club today. These are all my teammates, my athletes and partners. And here at Unified, we want to provide like the same opportunity for kids with special needs that kids in the high school get. So for example, like me and Brady, we get to play like basketball or baseball, and we want to provide the same opportunity for kids who don't get that same chance.
Wonderful.
So our club Unified we're a club as of January 2024. And we went through all the steps at the high school to create this club. And it was definitely a process, but it's awesome that it's here, and we really hope it'll stay for a long time.
Wonderful.
And so you might be wondering like why we started Unified. And for me, so my little brother Kason right here, he has cerebral palsy, and he isn't able to play as many high school sports as everyone else is. And he played at the middle school this year. He played C-team basketball, and he had this awesome experience where he was building these great relationships with friends and coaches, and he was just meeting this whole team. And I wanted to replicate this relationship that he had with all these other people. I wanted to replicate that and give it and like spread it out to more kids and families. He would come home after practice and tell us about all the friendships he's made and like all of these great things about practice. And it also helped me personally connect with him in a whole nother way that I never thought I would, like passing drills or just catching with each other. And it's really awesome. So I wanted to replicate this relationship that I built with him in like this different aspect. So we started Unified. So I talked to Dr. John Hurl and my parents, and we all came together, and John helped me bring back this Unified program. And it's been awesome for all these kids. And so we have right around 17 different partners who are people who give up their study periods, which is at the end of the day every Wednesday. That's when our practice is. They like give up their study periods, come help and coach the team. So these unique relationships have been built with every different unique kid, and they have this new trust and bond with like a different partner. And it's just really, really awesome to see. And this experience that I wanted to share is, so our first game we played each other. It was right at the beginning of January, and it was so cool because we'd had about a month of practices going towards this. So our team's super dedicated. And right when like that first shot, the first basket was made, like tears like flooded my eyes. It was just such this like awesome thing to see. And it's only the beginning, which is also really cool. We still have the whole soccer and track season and hopefully many more years to come. Thank you.
I have to say, you're very eloquent and powerful, and I so appreciate your leadership. I so appreciate DHS and the leadership of DHS for supporting this. Thank you so much, Mr. Hurl. And how important and impactful. How important and impactful. I'm sorry, I didn't have my mic on. To reiterate, very powerful words. And I so appreciate all that you're doing. And just thank you. Comments from the rest of council?
Just want to say it's truly inspiring to see the next generation really rise up and lead and do so in really impactful ways. So not only am I inspired by you all right now, but I'm also like looking forward to see what else you all are able to accomplish in just a very few short years from now. So thank you so much for true leadership, especially in a time when we really need it. So thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you.
Yes, I also do appreciate all the work you're doing to motivate your classmates to do this kind of project, because this really sets an example for the whole community. And I am truly, truly proud of all of you. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. It's wonderful. And we're going to get a photo, but a huge round of applause first. If you guys come right up here, we'll try to get a photo. And please join photo. Yeah, we'll stand up in the back. This is wonderful. Come on in. Yep, get in. Let's get a photo. Everybody get in.
Swish. One, or two, or three. Great, perfect. Thanks.
Thank
Oh,
you
great.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, if you could let us know when some of your games are, it would be very fun to watch.
Thank you. so
We'd
much.
love to see that. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for being here. One update regarding the city of Durango's marijuana regulations and methodology for measuring buffer areas. Jose, I'll pass that to you.
Yes, please. Mayor and City Council, this is a follow-up from the motion made by Councilor Yazzie regarding more information and a presentation from a citizen comment that we have regarding our methodology for measuring the buffer areas for marijuana shops. Lily Oswald here with our Community Development Department is here to give a brief presentation, a follow-up on what the effect of that would be. There is no action. We're here to answer any questions. If the council, after this presentation, would like to consider action or go in that direction, then there would be something that'd be brought up under new business. But this is our follow-up on that presentation for additional information.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, City Council and Mayor. Thank you for the introduction too. Lily Oswald with the Community Development Department. I believe on your screens, although I'm not positive, you see a map. I'll just kind of dive in by introducing that map. So I want to importantly note that this is for illustrative purposes only. And it's also just a sample area that you can see here. This does not capture by any means every facility that may require a buffer area, which we'll discuss in a second here, or the exact buffer areas which require the different measurement methodologies, which we'll discuss. And these are confirmed on a case-by-case basis. So the areas we'll be talking about today, and again, I'll dive in more detail in a minute, are the areas here. Let's see if this works. Between the underlying purple darker areas, those are the walking measured buffer areas, and then within the hatch. So the difference between those two areas, excuse me, are what would potentially enable additional marijuana facilities if the measurement methodology were to be updated from our current standards. So to dive right in, and I'll try to keep it high level while still touching on the specifics that were requested by council. This is a council request regarding a public comment received at the February 6, 2024 council meeting. These buffer areas are between marijuana facilities and schools, addiction recovery facilities, residential childcare facilities, and public parks with playground equipment. And these facilities are described and defined by the state. The city adopted updates to its marijuana regulations in 2014 following the statutory changes to the licensing and regulation of retail marijuana establishments. These statutes and codes which we have in place measured the defined buffer areas by a point-to-point method, or as the crow flies, these rounded and red bordered areas you see on the map. And these contain different facilities which require a 1,000-foot or 250-foot buffer area to an allowed retail marijuana establishment. Municipalities, including Durango, followed this measuring methodology when it adopted our regulations and licensing policies for retail marijuana establishments. Durango initially adopted this measuring method in part because there were significant community concerns at that time of an abundance of street-level marijuana facilities along the historic Main Avenue downtown corridor, which is in part why we zoomed the map in for that area. Since these original laws were enacted at the state and adopted at our local level, the state has changed how participating jurisdictions may measure buffer areas from this property to property line to a direct pedestrian access, quote unquote. This methodology was passed via House Bill 19-1230, which was brought up to council at that February 6th meeting. These regulations allow municipalities to opt for a more restrictive marijuana establishment regulation requirement than the state. Staff has not pursued updating our code or land use and development code to reflect this newer direct pedestrian access measurement method, in part because it could potentially increase the number of retail marijuana facilities within this historic commercial business, light industrial and mixed use areas, because we had received community feedback when these original codes were put in place. It's important to note also that measuring these buffer areas based on the direct pedestrian access is a bit more difficult to estimate, and the direct property line point to point, as the crow flies, is considered a consistent, equitable, and enforceable measurement method for city staff and administration. And Community Development Department staff recommends maintaining this current measurement method to be consistent with strategic plan goals, community character districts, and our zoning district purposes. If an applicant were to request a variance to these buffer areas, they of course could apply for a variance, and variance criteria are difficult to meet, and applicants would have to demonstrate a unique undue hardship circumstance which is relayed to them during that application process. And I'll take any questions you may have and hopefully have an answer for you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Councilor comments, questions?
Thank you. That just clears it up for me, what
Sure.
was presented, and now I understand what the regulations are. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm just going to take a quick note, under opening remarks. I did forget to say, I wanted to make a note that we have a new process for public participation, for sign up of public participation. You may have seen it as you entered. There's an electronic public participation form a portal in the lobby. It's a computer tablet, and you must sign up there to speak in public participation tonight. Just want to make sure everyone was very well aware of that. Thank you. And with that, I will move on to city manager updates.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we have a few updates today. The first one is Zeta Fail and Katie Fox with our 911 Communications Department to do a recognition for some outstanding work of one of our dispatchers.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us. We had a special blessing, I guess you could say, a couple of weeks back, and we wanted to share that and recognize the work that Jennifer's done. This is Jennifer Rivera. She is one of our newest dispatchers. This is Katie Fox, which is our operations manager, and she's responsible for training these fabulous folks. So it was on February the 3rd, and it was about 10:20 p.m. And she answered the phone, and there was an anxious father that said the baby's coming and he's coming fast. So within 2 minutes of answering the call, that baby was born. Now, these type of events, normally, we talk them through the medical instructions. However, the fire department and the ambulance is still responding. Normally what happens is they get there and they take over. And so we don't call that a dispatch assisted birth. So they're very rare, few and far between. And as luck would have it, about, I guess, an hour and a half later, the phone rings again, and it's a couple that's traveling into the city. The woman's in labor, and they have to pull over at Farmington Hill. And within 6 minutes, that baby was born. So she facilitated 2 successful, what we call dispatcher assisted births. They're trained in emergency medical dispatch to serve the community while the paramedics and the fire department respond. And these instructions are vital because these can be very traumatic and dangerous situations for the baby and for the mother. It's one of the most challenging and eventful calls you get. And we haven't had a dispatcher assisted birth since March of 22. And last year, just to kind of put that in perspective, we had 5,500 medical calls. 9 of them were birth related, and the fire department got there on all of them. So this is really a special event, and we want to recognize Jennifer for her dedication and professionalism while acting in the capacity of an emergency medical dispatcher, providing vital instructions resulting in 2 separate successful dispatcher aided births.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. Wow.
She will be recognized next year during our awards ceremony with a Stork Award, but we wanted to take some time to recognize what she did and thank her for the service that she provides our community.
Thank you so very much. I have goosebumps hearing this story. It just amazes me. And I can't thank you enough for your training, your dedication, your commitment. I'm so thankful for that. Thank you. It's obviously affecting real lives that matter. Thank you so much for your service. Other counselors?
I hope you went out and bought a lottery ticket. And then I bet your work is probably going to be a little bit more boring from now on. But thank you for being able to assist so clearly and eloquently, especially for somebody that's new to the job. So amazing work. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. It's just so amazing that you could help people like that just on an instant. So I appreciate the training and the great staff we have at 911 and for you joining up to be with them. So thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Absolutely. Can we bring her up for a photo? Council,
Absolutely.
please.
Please,
Come on up.
please. I'd love it.
Yeah. Jennifer's like, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much again. Wonderful work. 5.2.
Yeah, yes, Mayor, we do have Devin Schmidt, our Chief Financial Officer, to announce a recent award that the city received from the Government Finance Officers Association.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Devin Schmidt, Chief Financial Officer for the City of Durango. It's this lot of hard stuff to follow here, so
Can you give us goosebumps?
yeah, I mean, I'll do my best. Financial reporting. So we wanted to share with council that the City of Durango did receive the Certificate of Achievement for Financial Excellence in Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association for the 2022 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. This does align with our strategic plan and financial excellence and high-performing government. And so this is just a short presentation, but I really wanted to take the opportunity to kind of explain this award. And so the Government Finance Officers Association Award for Durango is the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting for the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the end of the year 2022. This certificate comes after the financial report was judged by the Government Finance Officers Association, which is a panel of CPAs that look at our annual comprehensive financial report and they review it and then they provide judgment on it. And we did receive the award. I wanted to take this opportunity to share how incredibly proud I am of our financial services department, specifically our accounting team. With their tireless efforts, dedication, and loyalty to the city of Durango, this is really a testament to their very, very hard work. According to the Government Finance Officers Association, cities that are awarded this Certificate of Achievement demonstrates a constructive spirit of full disclosure and clearly communicates the city's financial story. And this pictured here is most of our accounting team, some of our budget team, and so I just really wanted to pass along my sincere gratitude for all their efforts and hard work.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Council comments?
I said it during the city council or the city study session, but I'll say it again on the public record. Truly a testament to leadership from all angles and to really sit in some really robust standards and processes to ensure that we're doing our best and our due diligence to our constituents for financial accounting and reporting. Amazing work, like truly an amazing turnaround and a way to keep up that high level, that high bar. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
This is excellent. So thank you so much for your diligence and your hard work, and all your staff also deserves recognition. Thank you.
Yes, they do.
And I would
Thank
just
you.
add that we always know there's always room for improvement, and we can never get complacent with regard to our financial practices here in Durango. But this award is important for several reasons. It shows our excellence in financial reporting, transparency and management. I think it's, as you stated, an independent validation of our financial practices. It underscores our commitment to transparency and accountability, and congratulations to the finance team for all of your hard work. Very well deserved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, we'll move on to the Animas View Drive update.
Yes, Mayor and Council, Devin King with our Transportation Department will give an update on some of the improvements we've made at Animas View Drive based on some citizen engagement and feedback that we've received.
Good evening, City Council. Mayor. Devin King, Multimodal Manager for the city. That doesn't work. So I'm here this evening to bring an update regarding the improvements to Animas View Drive in response to neighborhood safety concerns. So to give a quick background history of this, in response to community concerns over the years, we have made various improvements, or I guess various changes on Animas View Drive, including reducing the speed limit to 25 miles per hour from 35, and that was back in 2021, I believe. So since then, we have had continual safety concerns out there. And so on November 1st, we held a public meeting with multiple department staff there, Public Works, Engineering, myself, and PD. We had over 60 plus attendees. And we had input. So, we kind of gave the community a presentation based off of the current roadway conditions. And then, had some ideas for improvement, but then we also just kind of all sat down at round tables and heard from all of the community about their input on what they want to see changed and their concerns. And so we took all of that, went and met internally to determine how best to proceed. And we came up with some near-term and midterm improvements, and we distributed those out to everybody that was at the neighborhood meeting to just kind of let them know, hey, we are moving on this. Here's what we're thinking. Here's where we're moving. And then from that, we have been coordinating further between the departments to try to get certain improvements done. So right now we're about to order some signage to put out there. We're also looking at doing some shrub clearing and things of that nature later in the spring. And we're going to put some sharrows down. But then we're also working with some traffic engineers. And so these folks are very specific to transportation. To provide additional assistance, to hopefully come up with things that maybe we didn't think of, or come up with other innovative ideas, and also to further vet what we are proposing. Just to kind of help, give you the picture of Animas View Drive, I've put a few pictures on here that just kind of show the current conditions. It's a rural roadway. There are no sidewalks. You have a lot of, the transit stop, the trolley stop up near United Campground and the Red Cliff Apartments is a very popular transit stop for the trolley. And then pretty much all the trolley stops are on the opposite side of the road from most of the bigger residential population development. So most everybody has to at least cross the road, if not walk down the road some. So, most of these people are walking on the side, and where there is a gravel spot, they'll walk to the side in the gravel. But for the most part, there's not a lot of great space out there currently for pedestrians and bicyclists as well. So our plan for improvements, so far we've coordinated with LPA for some light repair for a light that was existing out there. We're also in discussion with them about where we could potentially put additional lighting on the corridor. The speed limit flag signs were replaced. So when we reduced the speed limit from 35 to 25, we put some big orange flags out there to make it really apparent. We replaced those. And then we have been having conversations with the police department about automated speed enforcement. So near term, what we're looking at is the flashing share the road signs, and that's what we're about to order. And those are those big bright yellow signs that will have a cyclist and a pedestrian on there, and they will flash, and it will say, hey, heads up, cyclists, pedestrians will be on the road. Sharrows, like I mentioned earlier, which are the shared lane bike symbols that go on the roadway, and then the shrub removal. And then for midterm, that's where we're using the traffic engineers to really kind of help further vet our ideas. We do have some ideas for midterm, but we would like further input from them. So a lot of these folks have expertise in ADA compliance as well as just innovative design. One of those things that we'd like them to take a look at is crosswalks at transit stops to kind of help bridge that gap a little bit more for getting across the street. And then how we can best create pedestrian and cyclist space out there without doing a full-on capital improvement project. So that's the one key piece to this Animas View Drive project, is it is not a capital improvement project. So it's basically just staff coming together and figuring out, with the little bit of dollars we have, how can we come up with improvements to really help the folks out there now, rather than wait, however long it will take to get a capital improvement project. And I will say that this is a direction that we're hoping to go more in the future, is how can we do these quick responses to folks that have a lot of safety concerns in their neighborhood or on their roadways? How can we do that in a more efficient and less costly way until we can get a full-on long-term capital improvement project done? So it's a good example of that. But from here, next steps, we will complete the near-term ones that we have already outlined and given to the public. We'll have another public meeting probably later in the spring so that we can kind of check in on midterm ideas as well as the short terms that we have implemented. And then we will finalize the midterm ideas and get those implemented as quickly as possible.
Council questions?
Thank you, Devin. I appreciate the fast response because I did go to that November 1st meeting. And the reason I went was because of the fatality, somebody got killed on the street and there was all bushes, too much traffic, too fast. But I do appreciate the steps that you have taken and what the transportation department has done to mobilize so quickly. And it was really, it was empowering to see all the residents there. And there were 60, there were probably even more, divided into, I think, 10 groups. And they were all brainstorming on how can we fix this problem, because a lot of people live down there and they are concerned about their safety. So I appreciate your effort. So thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Would it be safe to assume that if we're going to kind of see how some of these potential solutions take hold and then decide from there if other more impactful but more intensive CIP projects need to kind of take place, or we're just kind of like hoping that this will alleviate some of these congestion concerns?
I mean, in general, this, Animas View Drive has been kind of on the long-term docket for improvements because it is a rural roadway. So bringing it up to just standard city roadway, the timeline on that, I have no idea. But what we will do is, kind of our process moving forward is to implement some near-term, check and see, is it having an impact on speeding out there? Is it having an impact on perceived safety? Unfortunately, crashes is a good indicator on whether or not a roadway is safe, but we'd hope that we don't have to look at that anymore and we can just base that off of speeds and then perception from residents. And then, once we do midterm, kind of the same thing. Once we do those, we'll come back in and check and kind of continue checking and seeing improvements.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the update.
Can I ask a question? Not sure if you saw the hand, Mayor, but
No, I'm sorry. I can't see you. Just to let you know, Councillor Bosmans, for some reason, I didn't, your little square wasn't coming up, so I didn't see your hand raised.
no worries. There will be more comments I'll make later during the meeting. So hopefully I'll just barge in before the next item is discussed. Thank you for the presentation there. I believe it was over a year ago that we discussed the development of the property right after the traffic lights as you come in. I think it's the Mild to Wild. Is that the one when you drive in the road there on the right?
Yes.
And at the time I made the comment, I'm not sure if you remember, if we were anticipating integrating some of the basic sidewalk and bike access possibilities as part of that project. So we are reducing the impacts in your schedule there in the long term for major capital improvements, since it's right from the traffic light to the first, 100 yards. Can you give an update on, or do you recollect on what is being proposed or what is being done there to improve the pedestrian and cyclists access to the traffic light, the first section, as part of that project?
Yeah, so Mild to Wild is proposing, they had, anytime they come in and do a project, they have to do capital improvements on their own. So they are proposing sidewalk to connect to the intersection in front of their property. Unfortunately, I don't know any more beyond that.
That's unfortunate, because I think it would be a great opportunity to make their design meet what we consider future design potentially in the longer term, and save ourselves demolishing what they have done to meet what, if there's a multi-use path or whatever it ends up being. But anyway, thank you for that update.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate your update.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
before we get too far ahead, I would like to make a motion to table agenda item 11.1.
Do I have a second? This is 11.1. I'll second. Council discussion.
The reason I want to table this for now, Mayor Pro Tem Buell is not here to discuss the decisions that could potentially impact her mayorship as we get closer to her taking over as mayor in a month. So I'd like her to be a part of that conversation. Unfortunately, she's not here this evening to be a part.
Thank you for bringing that up. I would agree that it would be nice to have all 5 counselors present for such an important topic and discussion. Other
I
counselor
agree too.
comments?
Yeah.
May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. I make a motion to recess. Support from council? Okay, take a quick recess. Thank you.
We'll be back.
Okay, I just wanted to make it very clear for the community who's still here that the reason why this item has been tabled is that we are missing, as Councilor Woodruff suggested, Mayor Pro Tem Buell, and she did not know that she wouldn't be here until last Saturday when her son qualified for a state tournament in Denver, where she is currently attending his hockey state championships. So we really wanted everyone to be present. So we've tabled this item to our next meeting on March 12th, where we will consider this resolution at that time. And you are still welcome to communicate with us this evening and to have public comment. It won't be under item number 7 because that is for items that are it would be for 7 and 9 tonight. But you would be able to speak under item number 13. However, I just wanted to make it clear that I may limit that public participation regarding the ceasefire resolution, depending on how many people have signed up to speak. Since we have heard from many of you at the last 2 meetings, there may be support from council to limit that discussion. I just wanted to make everybody aware. And with that, we will move on to committee, board, and liaison reports. Any updates from council?
Yeah, I had a couple of meetings. I had the Wildland and Watershed Protection Fund meeting last Wednesday. We talked a lot about like just the nuts and bolts of why we're there and what our impact is and how we kind of facilitate these conversations around wildfire mitigation and management in our community. And so we're talking about maybe a field trip and then in our region and talk about some of the work that we're done in those meetings, on the administrative side and what that means and how that translates to like the actual work being done on the physical side. So we're hopefully going to do something like that. And yeah, it was just a kind of a more, like I said, nuts and bolts of like why we're there conversation, but it was still really good to have that. I think every once in a while, we're going to get to remind ourselves what we're doing and why we're there. So I also had the community, oh God, I don't know why I always do this. It's Creative Economy Commission. I don't know why I said community. Creative Economy Commission. Yeah, CEC. Woo, all right. So CEC, we gave funding or approved funding for the first round of lodgers tax funding. So $250,000 to give. Unfortunately, we had over $750,000 in applications. So that means that it's really good that we're getting, robust applications from our artistic and creative economy. Yeah, it was really cool to see that good of a turnout. And then we ended up having 34 applicants, but 18 projects that were recommended for funding. And so, yeah, we're looking at the metrics and see what sort of impact these sort of creative economy commissions are doing and what sort of economic impact those are driving our community. So it was a really good conversation I had around the rubric and the process that the team went through to really pick out and advocate for some of that funding. So it was really, really good conversations.
Thank you for the update.
Yes, Dave, that's excellent. Let's see, on the 27th, I attended the PD City Hall public forum about the proposed design of City Hall, and I only attended the details on what's going to happen to the construction because I had something else to go to, but it sounded like they have a pretty good idea of how they want to put together the building. And I was impressed by the size of the PD, which is going to be 40,000 square feet. And then City Hall will be scrunched into a little spot. But it was really good to see the graphics and to hear the presentation. And then, of course, on the 28th, we had the Southern Ute and Durango City Council quarterly meeting, and I thought that went very well because we're still in dialogue with the Southern Utes about how we move forward between government to government, staff to staff, and I do believe we are making progress on that. And then on Saturday, March 2nd, I was invited to do a presentation for the opening remarks for Rocky Mountain PBS here in downtown Durango for the Durango film film workshops. But the Native Lens portion of this evening's films had to do with about 5 different indigenous productions having to do with their lifestyle and what they experience in life. And they're all self-produced. They're all learning a skill. They're all writing the dialogue. They're doing the acting, and they're making these films. It was very empowering, and I was glad to see that there's a very vocal and active youthful artist group working on this. And that's about all.
Thank you so much. Counselor Bosmans, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, yes, thank you. I'll do the key one, which is the office hours I had earlier today, and I'll run through those topics. I had someone speak on Malfunction Junction, and the key concern is, why is the city not moving forward with the northbound left-hand turn from 3rd Avenue into 14th Street? The duration of this project and the amount of money spent on options that our community clearly do not seem to want. Another person I spoke to is from the Solidarity Coalition, and also the members in the audience there, that I was expecting to discuss later. But anyway, it should be the key topic I wanted to share during this update is that it should be clear that this coalition is separate from the hate speech situation we have encountered. And I find that the people and the speakers that came in front of City Council before have been very cordial and respectful. And I want to add to that I am a little bit caught off guard when this item was tabled just minutes ago due to one councillor's absence. But so be it. I hope that doesn't impact the efforts from the people in the audience to come and take their time to come to the City Council meetings, but I feel for you. The next one is the Parks and Recs topic. I had someone sharing their concerns on the growth that takes place, along with assuring that current residents and future residents have the same quality of life as we have grown accustomed to. And the examples discussed were maintaining existing Parks and Rec facilities, as well as assuring those Parks and Rec facilities will be provided in growth areas such as Three Springs and La Posta. And then I had a last person come by to discuss La Posta Road growth area and expressing their concerns with that growth and the need for appropriate planning. Most importantly, the need to have land available for parks as well as schools, and the fact that there are, I believe, 7 well paths in that area, and that we need to assure the health and safety of people living near those wells, but also assure the legal minimum distances between residences and well paths are met now, but also in anticipation of potential future legal changes to the minimum distances required. And the latter, especially since these studies are being done now, and the actual projects might take place 10 or more years from now to start. So those were my updates on this agenda item.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bosmans. And I have no updates, so we'll move on to public comment on agenda items 8 and 9. Faye, do we have anyone who would like to comment on our 8 and 9 this evening?
Give me just 1 second to download the updated file. I have no one signed up to speak under 8 and 9.
Okay, and it's also, oh, you're right, thank you. It's 8, 9, and 11.2.
No one for 8, 9, and 11.2.
And anyone virtually? Doesn't appear. I don't see any hands raised. Okay. With that then, if that's the case, may we have a reading of the consent agenda, please?
Item 8.1 is approval of minutes approval of minutes of the February 20th, 2024 City Council regular meeting. 8.2 is final reading of ordinances, which is an ordinance approving the Elk Grove annexation ordinance and declaring an effective date, which will be ordinance 2024-0004. There are no additional items on the consent agenda tonight.
Is there any counselor that would like to remove an item from the consent agenda this evening? All right, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Well, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 10, land use and development. May we get a reading of 10.1, please?
Item 10 is a land use and development item related to Twin Buttes Housing Compliance Agreement and amendments to the development agreement submitted by the Community Development Department. 10.11 is a public hearing to consider the Twin Buttes Housing Compliance Agreement and amendments to the Twin Buttes Development Agreement.
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
May we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
Yes.
Public hearing is open. We'll start with a presentation from staff.
Excuse me, Mark, your microphone is not on. There's a red dot. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Do I need to repeat that for the record? Okay. This is a public hearing to consider the Twin Buttes Housing Compliance Agreement and amendments to the Twin Buttes Development Agreement. This proposal meets multiple city plans and goals, including the strategic plan, the comprehensive plans, housing goals, and the housing plan itself. This is a big milestone for the city and for the Community Development Department. We've been working on this agreement for a couple of years, and it's a big milestone because of the three things that you see up before you. The first is we're getting affordable for sale housing for people who have families that could make down to $73,000 and still purchase homes. We don't have that in Durango yet. We're reaffirming that the revenue stream from transfer fees at Twin Buttes will go to affordable housing. And we're also building on the partnership that the city has with Twin Buttes and creating new partnerships with Elevation Community Land Trust. Also with Fading West. Sorry, Fading West, if you're online, but we ran out of room and we'll get to you, don't worry. So quick project overview about what's in the housing compliance agreement. There are three requirements. One is that Twin Buttes is donating 271 Twin Buttes Avenue, which used to be where Animas High School was located before it moved up to the fort. And that's the site that will be used for the affordable housing project. As I mentioned, we'll continue to collect the 1% real estate transfer fee. And also Twin Buttes has partnered with the city to help us find a developer. And as we'll get into later, there are certain things that Twin Buttes will be doing to help implement the project. And those items are covered in the development agreement portion of this project. So we have 30 for sale units, which for the first time, we'll be able to cover a continuum of home prices in the city, including down to 70% of the area median income, up to 120% of the area median income. So what that means in effective terms, if you can see in this chart, whether you're a two-person household, a four-person household, 2 parents, 2 kids, then if you're making 70% of that area median income, that's $73,000 that you could earn and afford a house here, and up to 120%, which would be about $125,000 a year. And the transfer fees that we collect from Twin Buttes will help make this happen. That 1% transfer fee is a fee that's assessed on most of the real estate transactions in Twin Buttes. I say most, they're not all, but the exceptions are really narrow. It's things like inheriting an estate, if you're involved in a divorce, if government buys the property. There's a number of those items, but for the most part, most transactions are going to be assessed this 1% fee. So through January of this year, the city's collected over $642,000 in those fees. And that, to be clear, is between 2017, when the first fee was collected, through this January. That's not just for this year. The model that we used to help determine that this was a viable compliance for the housing compliance agreement includes basic real estate assumptions to help generate those fees, which includes how often homes up there are going to be sold, what the initial sales prices are, what the annual appreciation is, and that's all based on local real estate data. And as the city collects those monies, as I said, initially we'll help use those to develop the affordable housing project, but then there are any number of things that we can use that money for going forward. There's no cap or there's no end date rather on that transfer fee. So over the coming decades, we'll be able to reinvest those funds into creating or preserving affordable housing, leveraging other funds, government, state and federal funds for different programs, buying units or land, and creating partnerships. So to start big, we'll narrow it down, but I'm sure most of you know where Twin Buttes is. Most of phase 1 in Twin Buttes on the left side of the screen has been either developed or at least subdivided and ready for development. The Animas High School site itself is in green at the bottom. That's more of phase 2, which is important because some of the things that will happen right now have been sped up by the Animas High School site because phase 2 is not going to happen for approximately 10 years. It really depends on how fast phase 1 sells out. But the red line that you see on this page is the Lightner Creek Trail, which Twin Buttes will improve from a dirt single track, what it is right now, to a 10-foot concrete trail that will serve the development and will connect into the city's sidewalk network. We wanted to make sure that that was one of the very first things that we did, as we heard earlier tonight. Not having good pedestrian connectivity can have really tragic consequences. So Twin Buttes is partnering with us to get that done before the first people move into the development. You can see above the red line where it says Twin Buttes Avenue. Twin Buttes will also improve that road. If not, they won't fully rebuild it yet. That's not going to happen until phase 2 happens. And then there are a few other operational details that they're working with us with to make sure the project is a success. So this is just a conceptual site plan. This is not the formal site plan. We don't have a submittal yet. We'll hope to get one later this year, but this gives you an idea of what's going to go on the site. Those are townhomes in, let's see if this pointer works. Yeah. So these are townhomes that will be made by Fading West from Buena Vista. That's a modular home developer. And then there's some standalone units on the project as well. And then vehicle access will be through here out onto Twin Buttes Avenue. And then that red trail that I highlighted earlier will be coming through here. Once we get the details of the project, we'll know exactly where the trail is, but this is just an idea of what could happen. Fading West can fully customize a lot of their or all of their products. So these are just examples of what they can do. It's going to be a high quality, attractive development, and we look forward to working with them. As I mentioned earlier, Twin Buttes will have to perform some of the operational details, and we already mentioned some of these, like the construction of Lightner Creek Trail and improving Twin Buttes Avenue. At some point in the future, the city will take ownership of the land underneath the trail. That's not going to happen until phase 2. And then Twin Buttes will also work with CDOT if there are any access permit changes that need to occur. And they've already given us an access for residents to get from Highway 160 to the project site. So at the very beginning of this, I said this was a milestone. If you just take a quick look at the timeline here, you can see that this has been a long time in the works. And Twin Buttes was initially approved in several stages. between 2008 and 2011, right in time for the Great Recession and nothing else to happen. So things have gotten going again over the last few years, and we've got this really big milestone of an agreement tonight. And then if it's approved, we'll get to work with Fading West and Elevation Community Land Trust to get the site developed, and we hope to do that by next year. So that's it for me right now, and this is an outline of how the hearing could work, but if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Excellent, thank you. So there's no Twin Buttes presentation, but they're available to answer questions.
They are.
Okay. We'll now have comments from the audience. Do we have anyone who would like to speak in public comment for this item under item number 10?
Give me just 1 second to pull up a revised list here. I have no one signed up under 10.1.
Anyone virtually? I don't think so, but just want to check. Nope. Okay. I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And may we have a reading of item 10.1.2, please?
10.1.2 is a resolution approving the Twin Buttes Housing Compliance Agreement and the First Amendment to the Third Amended and Restated Twin Buttes Development Agreement and authorizing the mayor and the city manager to sign and execute the documents. If passed, this will be resolution 2024-14.
Thank you, Faye. May I have a motion from council?
I move to approve the Twin Buttes Housing Compliance Agreement and the First Amendment to the Third Amended and Restated Twin Buttes Development Agreement and authorizing the mayor and city manager to sign and execute documents.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Council discussion. Who would like to start? Any Councilor Bosman's.
Yeah, I was not familiar with the change there. I thought we had public comment as well, not public comment, council discussion after the public comment, but it doesn't matter. I appreciate the presentation, and I want to just also acknowledge my appreciation here for you probably remember I often bring forward the fact that we should, as part of larger developments, include trails and those things proactively, so we don't have to do it after a development has taken place. And the fact that you have those trails integrated in the earlier stages, I think is great. It will hopefully in the long term connect all the little pieces together so we can cycle all the way to Twin Buttes. So I want to just thank you for that and the developer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bosman. And just to clarify, we don't take public, as we've been doing in the last several meetings. I've been asking council to wait to have their comments and or questions on the hearing until we have a motion on the floor. And that's why we waited until 10.1.2. Other councilor.
And you had a public hearing, just no one signed up to speak.
And we had a public hearing, but no one signed up to speak. Thank you. Any further discussion from council? I would just add too, that I think that this is a milestone agreement. I really appreciate you saying that, Mr. Williams. I think it's helps us address the affordable housing crisis. It ensures socioeconomic diversity in our community, supports workforce housing and retention, reduces commute time for our residents, and it promotes stability for our residents. And I think it creates a model for future development. So I think it's wonderful that we're making progress on this, and I look forward to see it going through. And with that, I believe, may we have a roll call from council?
Councilor Woodruff,
Yes.
Councilor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Councilor Bosman's.
Yes.
Motion passes. May we have a reading of 11.2, please?
11.2 is a resolution to approve the settlement of a case concerning the application of water rights filed by G&H LLC, specifically 2020 CW 3004 in La Plata County District Court. If passed, this will be resolution R 2024-16.
Do we have a motion from council?
We're at 11.2.
Huh?
11.2.
On 11.2, yes.
I move to approve the settlement of a case concerning the application of water rights filed by G&H LLC, specifically 2020 CW 3004 in the Plata County District Court FEH-PG, submitted by City Attorney.
I'll second. Mr. Morgan, did you want to add anything on this?
Yeah, this is just keeping with the new policy where these water cases that are handled by our outside counsel who's a special in Colorado water rights is recommending settlement. This one is specific to some water rights out at the airport. We do have Tony from the airport here available to answer questions if there are any. But again, this is something we could handle in executive session, but because we have our expert water attorney recommending settlement, we've chosen to do it in the public forum.
Any other council discussion? All right, we will move for a roll call, please.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff.
Yes.
Motion carries. And with that, we will move on to item number 13, public comment on non-agenda related items. This section of the agenda is set aside for the public to provide comments regarding items that do not appear on this agenda. Please note that in order to make comment tonight, you will need to have signed up on our electronic public participation form. The rules are similar as to those that do not appear on the agenda. Begin your comments by stating your full name, the topic you will comment on, and if you are a resident of the city of Durango, make your comments directly to the council. Do not expect a response from council or staff. I will limit comments to 3 minutes for each individual signed in. We may even make that shorter. We will see how many people have signed up. Unused time is not transferable to other speakers. Comments must be germane and specific to city matters, personal attacks, profanity, hate speech, derogatory remarks, speech unrelated to city matters, or other speech that is disruptive to the meeting will be ruled out of order by the chair, and any remaining time will be forfeited by the speaker. Exceeding the time limit infringes on the rights of others and is out of order. Only by a majority of vote of council can we extend those time limits. And all written comments received by the city clerk by noon today have been delivered to council and will be summarized in the meeting minutes. With that, Faye, can you let us know how many people we have signed up to speak today and on what items?
We currently have 8 people signed up under item 13 and the remaining 15 signed up previously under item 11.1.
Okay, 15?
15. So a total of 22. Sorry. I did my math wrong there. 22.
And how many are on the not related?
8.
8, okay. I would make a motion then that we limit the public participation under previous item 11.1 to, you said how many people?
14.
14. To 2 minutes. I would suggest 2 minutes, and then we also hear from the other 8. So do I have council support for that? I'll make the motion to limit public participation on previous item 11.1 to a total of 28 minutes, or I'm just going to limit it to 2 minutes per speaker that has signed up. Do I have a second? Second. City council discussion. May we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef.
Yes. All right, let's go ahead and start with the individuals not signed up to speak under 11.1.
The first person would be Jay Short. And Jay has indicated he is not a resident of the city, if that's correct.
Yes. My name is Jay Short. I'm a resident of the county, not the city. I do own real estate in the county or in the city and a business in the city as well. I'm here to speak out about the proposal for extended wakeless hours at Lake Nighthorse. I'm against that proposal. In Durango, we share everything. Almost everybody gets along. We share the roads, we share the trails, we share Purgatory. There's snowboarders and all kinds of fast people up there. About a year ago, Kathy Metz had a lot of meetings with public outreach having to do with this exact discussion. And I think after her looking at all the data there, she actually opened the lake 7 days a week, got the city out of a predicament because the city had been discriminating and only having it open 5 days a week. So I thought that was a good move. And as far as I know, everybody is getting around just fine. At the same time, she increased by about 10% the no wake area. And she increased the time of day that you can't have a wake behind your boat. for the most part, everybody's getting around. I don't think we should really start discriminating again. It's just too early. I called the Parks and Rec and asked about how many people are doing this, how many people are doing that. They really don't know what the increase has been. In other words, a big change after public comment. Sure, there's people that are disgruntled, but we don't know if those same people actually showed up. You know, if you really want to be there, show up. Just like on a Paddle Day at Purgatory, put your money where your mouth is. Maybe a 5-year rolling average, something like that, to see if the current proposals are working or not might be a good. But there's no rules that say that, oh, there's 30% voters, so we need 30% time. There's 25% this, that's a straw man argument. It's not in writing. I did check with Parks and Rec, so they're kind of making up some stuff there. But there's 7 lakes around that don't have motors. So if you want to be a purist, hey, have fun. Lemon's a great place to go. You can have a serene lake experience, enjoy it out there. But, you know, we just need maybe a little better education. I think a lot of people that complain about wakes don't understand a boat under power at 20, 25 miles an hour puts out a smaller wake than if you slow down. I've been a kayaker I've kayaked the Animas over 1,000 days, donated to the Whitewater Park 3 occasions before the city kind of stepped up and did it. So I think we can just get along, and I think that's important to communicate. Congratulations for the new launch down there. I understand that's really doing a good job. The kayakers down there and the people for the stand-up paddle boards are having a good time. Overall, there's just a small group of people that want to have their cake and eat it too. They probably want to sleep in and then hope the wind doesn't come up, because that makes it even worse. The Durango Sailing Club is doing fantastic. Lots of sailboats. Every motorboat I know goes way around those guys. They're doing a super job. And thanks for help with the Durango Mesa Park. My friend Mark Katz donated that. Been knowing him for many, many years. And
okay, thank you.
It says right there, connect with bikers, hikers, runners, and horses. So let's not discriminate against them either.
Thank
Thanks a
you
lot.
so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right.
Next up would be Tom DeHuty. He has indicated he is not a resident of the city.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Tom DeHuty. I am a resident of La Posta Road, and I represent the developments of Adobe Cliffs and Deer Island. I'm here to make 2 requests of the city regarding the La Posta Road development plan. The first request is simple. Please stop marketing the idea that identified concerns have been addressed. This language was presented to the council and to the Southern Ute Tribe last week in this document. This statement is both incorrect and misleading. The majority of existing residents on La Posta Road believe that our concerns have been largely ignored, not addressed. And to be factual, the majority of La Posta Road residents are opposed to the latest version of the La Posta Road development plan. The second request is for more transparency regarding the development process. After the series of public meetings in 2021, 2022, and early 2023, the planning process for La Posta Road went dark. And apparently a number of decisions were made in that darkness. For example, in December, the community development director presented this graphic for the first phase of the development. It's called the southern portion. This graphic represents the creation of approximately 882 new housing units. This graphic was a whopping big negative surprise to the existing homeowners. None of us anticipated this density of residential housing. In subsequent meetings, the community development director has repeatedly stated that the commercial and light industrial development will come first. However, These two representations of development are not compatible. Which is it? Housing or light industrial? I've been told that the development of La Posta Road is 10 or more years away. However, given that there already appears to be deals that have been cut in the dark, I am not making the bet that this development is 10 years or more out. And if you were my neighbors, I don't think you'd be making that bet either. So what I'm asking for is more transparency. All the involved parties, including existing homeowners.
Thank you. That's
should
3
be
minutes.
Participating in that process.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have Zachary Lawrence next. He has indicated he does live in the city.
Excuse me?
Zachary Lawrence. I have this under item 13, under public comment on non-agenda items.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Next, I have Keaton Griffith, who has indicated they are a resident of the city of Durango.
Same question.
This is under public comment on non-agenda items.
I'm confused.
He signed up under both 11.1 and item 13.
Okay, then he would be included, likely, he should be included with the.
With 11.1, sure.
With the 11.1, and we'll just add 2 more minutes for him.
Mhm. Yeah, both he and Mr. Lawrence are listed under 11.1 as well.
I think we should just add them.
Okay. Next would be Gina Janone. Sorry if same thing.
Sign up for both. Okay.
Chris McCarthy,
Okay.
Ed Reziski,
Okay.
and Delia Davis, who is also signed up under 11.1.
So how many do we have now for 11.1? Because we had 14.
It's still 14. They were signed up duplicate
Okay,
places.
great. Okay, wonderful. Then we'll move on to the,
Rick Cobb, city resident.
I think Rick Cobb will come back on March 12th.
I'm sorry.
I think Rick Cobb will come back on March 12th since this item has been
Okay.
tabled.
I have Sweetie Marbury.
I would venture to say the same thing.
Okay. Gina Janone, city resident.
For clarification, do we get 2 or 3 minutes? now?
2 minutes. Thank you for
Right.
clarifying.
Right. All right. Hi, my name is Gina Janone. I'm a Durango resident, member of the Durango Palestine Solidarity Coalition, and I am commenting on the resolution that is now not an agenda item that was supposed to be 11.1. First, I would please like to ask the council to clarify next time exactly what this resolution means for our community. I've read the actual resolution many times and I felt that I understood it, but then I opened up the Durango Herald article from yesterday and it felt like I was reading an entirely different resolution. Can you please clarify whether this resolution will prohibit your council from considering resolutions on the stated issues, or is this an effort to silence public comment overall on these issues? In the Herald article that several of you contributed to, it said, quote, in layman's terms, the resolution would limit comments during public participation to city-related matters, said City Attorney Mark Morgan. Put it that way, it does feel like an infringement on our First Amendment rights. I would like that addressed at the next meeting. I also want to address something that also disturbed me about the article. In it, it says this resolution would also, quote, also allow city council to shut down hate speech without running afoul of people's First Amendment rights, and goes on to talk about the so-called Zoom bombers who called in on January 16th to spew hate speech. I take strong issue with our two groups being lumped together in discussion of this resolution. It's my understanding that city council already has rules banning hate speech, and those Zoom bombers were not proposing a resolution, nor were they speaking during public comment on non-agenda items. They picked an agenda item, some even pretended to address it, before they all pivoted to racist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic conspiracy theories before being rightfully cut off. Given that, this resolution would have absolutely no impact on their efforts at all, and including them in discussion of this resolution is, to me, just a tactic to delegitimize our efforts here over the past few meetings. Frankly, it's insulting. Not only would this resolution not curtail their actions, but would be handing them a victory. I won't say this group's name out loud, and you can look them up if you want, but their stated goal is to limit public participation at city council meetings. So I urge you to think about that when you're thinking about this resolution. I strongly urge you to reconsider this resolution. I'm worried about what this means for our community. And by the way, we are nearing 700 signatures on our ceasefire resolution petition. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You guys, I am going to ask that you hold your applause until we're all done, if you will, so we can get through this more effectively. Thank you, Faye.
Chris McCarthy, city resident.
A lot of people showing up for this. It's like the biggest thing. My name is Chris McCarthy. I'm a resident of Durango, Colorado, and a member of the Durango Palestine Solidarity Coalition. Well, I'm here to express my overwhelming sense of hopelessness, honestly. From the beginning, we never expected the city council to hear our pleas. We are pessimists about the mechanisms of democracy and seeing it fail us again and again, doing little more than defanging populist movements and manufacturing consent. But the optimist in me wanted to be proven wrong. I wanted to believe that at a local level, our elected representatives would represent the values of their community. Instead, here we are. Rather than spending 20 minutes to take a moral stance against something like funding ethnic cleansing, the city is trying to find a way to take a neutral stance, to quietly sidestep the issues we brought forth and hope that somehow it goes away. I'm here to tell you our tax dollars don't take a neutral stance on international leaders, so neither can you. A vote for this resolution is a vote for complicity in any past, current, and future atrocities committed by this nation. We know it, and I'm sure you do too. Maybe this resolution, akin to tying your own hands, offers some reprieve for your conscience. Maybe. Maybe you can even forgive yourself, but history won't forgive. History won't forgive any of us. Since October, I've seen with my own eyes a new generation of leaders, organizers, and supporters stepping forward and engage with the democratic process, trying to use these tools, mechanisms, and right passed down by our ancestors to change and correct the course of history. In good faith, we collected over 700 signatures to support this revolution. We prepared a public statement, spoke directly to our representatives, and poured our hearts out on the public record. And now we're feeling the door slammed on our faces. By the end of this meeting, this resolution will be inadmissible. Whether you want it or not, it says loudly and clearly, we do not belong here. The pessimists have been proven right. I'll end this with Aaron Bushnell's very last words as he burned himself and lied instead of being complicit with the genocide. Free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for heeding to that. I appreciate it. Next, Faye.
Christina Thornburn, city resident.
Thank you. City Council, my name is Christina Thorburn and I'm a resident of Durango. I'm here to comment on Agenda 11.1, which is being tabled. I work in healthcare and I use ultrasound to look at hearts, which means I spend a considerable time of my waking hours each week watching and hearing hearts beat. If everyone paused for just a few seconds, you can likely feel your heartbeat. I ask you to tune into that. When I think of Palestine and how over 30,000 Palestinian lives have been lost since October 7th, the gross majority of which have been civilians and most of which have been women and children, I think first of their hearts. Regardless of the method of their killing by being bombed, caught in rubble, shot by snipers, or forced starvation, among only some of the horrific ways, I think quickly to whatever moment it was, their hearts stopped beating. And to put it as simply as I can, that absolutely wrenches mine. The fact that taxes are getting pulled out of my paycheck to go to state and federal levels that are directly contributing to the deaths of these innocent people makes me sick. It is a cruel and disgusting irony that the work I do to hopefully help hearts beat better here and longer here is directly contributing to the stilling of hearts in Palestine. Why do I say all this? Why am I talking about work? My work and me instead of spending more of my precious seconds that I can on the people in Palestine, because over the last months, my friends here have done just that. They've given you statistics on lives lost, money spent, and used much more eloquent persuasion than me to appeal to not only your humanity, but to your reason. But you haven't listened. So I changed tactics to remind you of me as one of your constituents who you are supposed to represent. You as a city council are moving to adopt a resolution that keeps comments on track with the governance of the city of Durango. You claim you have no authority over international matters, but you may go so far to say Colorado state matters. But if you adopt this resolution to limit our speech, instead amplify our voices, adopt our resolution for a ceasefire, amplify what I hope is in your own hearts, and speak up for peace, speak up for human
Thank you.
lives.
Thank you. Hey, we have next.
Zachary
speaker.
Lawrence, city resident.
Hi, my name is Zachary Lawrence, citizen of Durango, Colorado. And I as well would like to make a statement in regards to agenda item 11.1. I didn't really have anything prepared, but I do want to just put out some numbers real quick before I say what I'm going to say. In Durango alone, according to military mapping information, in Durango alone, $287,531 in Durango go to Israel. That in Durango could home 34 households for public housing in the course of a year. That also is over 100 children could provide free or cheap healthcare for over 100 children a year. And it could also provide 818 homes with solar electricity for a year. It could also cancel multiple student loan debts. So that is just in Durango. In the United States overall, that regards, that's 451,735 households, over 1 million children with healthcare. In Colorado, over 9,000 homes, over almost 30,000 children with healthcare. So, we have a legitimate argument to show this is a local issue. This is some of the stuff. There is more, and we're going to obviously have more to talk about as more evolves. But the message to me is relatively clear. Sit down and zip it. The little bit of Hebrew that I retained in my childhood from my father is sheket yelet, and that means shut up, child. And that's kind of how I feel right now. Our participation in democracy shouldn't be punished. I think having our voices heard is more important than ever amidst this upcoming election cycle. I just would like to urge everyone to find, this resolution is definitely working towards stifling free speech and expression. That's my words.
Thank you. I was just gonna make a quick note. It appears that we've heard from our Mayor Pro Tem that her son won his state tournament in Denver. This is good news. And this is the reason why we have postponed this discussion to our next meeting. May we have the next speaker, please, Faye?
Dahlia Davis, city resident.
Good evening. My name is Dahlia Davis. I've been a resident since 2016 in Durango. First of all, I want to acknowledge that we are on stolen lands and honor the tribal people that lived here before us. The only reason we are able to live, work, and enjoy this area is due to colonization and the mass murdering of the indigenous people who thrived here for centuries prior to anyone's so-called discovery of these ancient lands. For this reason, as well as many others, it seems obvious that a town like Durango would care about what's happening in Palestine even more. Although we cannot change the past, we can help alter the history that is currently being made. If you ever wondered what you'd be doing during the civil rights movement, you're doing it right now. Taking a stance on something historical locally means standing up for what's right. It means being a courageous leader in a world full of followers. It means showing that we Durango have a heart. It is recognizing our connection to each other and our deeply rooted, interconnected humanity, and that we will not stand by in silence and complacency as we hide behind our privilege. Sometimes privilege means not caring about something just because we don't have to. I am proud to witness communities smaller than Durango, like Taos and Glenwood Springs, leading by example, along with approximately 70 other cities in America. To say things that are happening around the world do not matter here is a deeply concerning statement to make. If we, the little people of the world, allow something like this to happen by turning a blind eye, we're saying that we accept it, we're okay with it, and it can happen anywhere, which means it can even happen here. Living in this bubble of Durango and the greater bubble of this nation, we have witnessed many wars over the last century. What's happening in Palestine is not a war. It is ethnic cleansing. It's an attack on 2 million civilians who are being held on a piece of land that is approximately 25 miles in length and 7 miles in width at its widest. It is among the most densely populated areas on the smallest piece of land in the world. Palestine is the largest open-air prison on the planet, and people cannot come and go as they please. There is nowhere to flee.
Thank you. That's 2 minutes.
2 minutes? I thought I had 3.
We limited it to 2.
Oh, you limited it to 2.
Thank
Free
you.
Palestine, this is a war on children.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Ed Ray Zicki, city resident. Sorry if I butchered that.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Rozicki. I am a Durango resident and have been a Durango and La Plata County resident since '97. I'm speaking about Resolution 11.1, or excuse me, Resolution R 2024, the proposed resolution. Backing up to 2007, I was proud of our community when we passed the Iraq resolution, which called for the withdrawal of American troops from Iraq. On a personal level, when I saw Durango on a list of other communities who had done the same, I felt like my voice had been heard outside of our community. In 2009, as an elementary teacher, I attended the We the People Institute at James Madison University. Basically, it was a summer camp to learn how to simplify the Constitution for my students. At this institute, I learned first and foremost, civil discourse is the most important fundamental of a healthy democracy. Participation in government starts at a grassroots level right here. If Durango residents don't have a forum for civil discourse, where will we have the chance to not only voice our opinion, but also begin a life of participation in government? Limiting public comments during a public forum would stifle our community's duty to facilitate civil discourse. Thank you for listening.
Keaton Griffith, city resident.
Hi, my name is Keaton Griffith. I am a resident of Durango, and I'm also here to speak to what was agenda item 11.1 before it was tabled. Reading through the agenda packet that listed your reasons for wanting to adopt this resolution, one that was included was that the city should only be considering matters that are relevant to the governance of Durango. Well, I need to remind you again that including people who are here tonight, we have Palestinian community members here in Durango. This affects them. The rise of hate against their people and our Jewish community members as well is relevant to them, so that is relevant to our governance here. Otherwise, as you just heard before me, Durango has done this before. In 2007, City Council passed a resolution calling for the withdrawal of US troops from Iraq. Vets showed up to speak out on that in great numbers. This room was packed. And right now, only about 2% of the population of Israel, less than 2%, are American citizens. And yet somehow close to 10% of Israeli Defense Force soldiers killed in Gaza are American citizens. If you don't think that vets will want to speak out on this someday, I think you're wrong. And if they come here looking for a voice, are you prepared to silence them too with this resolution? We have been asking for you to pass a ceasefire resolution, and that's simply asking for you to say something. Simply asking for you to say something seems like a pretty low damn bar, and yet you have moved to silence us. That's all you've done. You'll have to look back someday when this is openly recognized as a genocide and know that this council made a cowardly decision to silence us instead of saying anything. But you're probably not listening to any of this. You only seem to understand political appeals. So think about this. Have you ever seen this many people engaged in public comment? Have you ever seen this many people show up to engage with you? Do you think that these people won't vote you out? I'm done.
Eleanor Porter, city resident.
Can we call her again, please?
Eleanor Porter, city resident.
Hello,
My name is Eleanor Porter and I'm a Durango resident. Thank you for listening to me today. I'm here in support of everyone here calling for a ceasefire. The U.S. provides military aid to Israel every year despite record levels of violence against Palestinians by Israel. The U.S. must immediately work to de-escalate to prevent further loss of life and not fuel war by sending more weapons, especially when Israel is using those for war crimes. Our tax dollars are funding this. We are losing U.S. service members in this. I stand before you today as a veteran of the U.S. Navy, who I just watched a fellow service member, Aaron Bushnell, take his life for this cause. May he rest in peace. The least I can do is stand before you today and repeat his words. I'm about to engage in an extreme act of protest, but compared to what the people have been experiencing in Palestine at the hands of the colonizers, it is not extreme at all, end quote. Aaron was from San Antonio. What if he had been from Durango? The official count of lives lost in Palestine has passed 30,000. Women, men, and children are being killed and starved with our weapons and our tax dollars. This is an issue to me, as it should be an issue to everyone in this world. If we as U.S. citizens continue holding on to fear and continue to refuse to address this issue, there will only be continued loss of life. I have personally voted to elect you to represent me, and now I would like you to use your voice. This issue is not in a vacuum. Please use your elected power to send this up the chain of command. Alone, my voice will be drowned out, but together, we as the people of the city of Durango can call for change and peace. I believe in your ability to see what is right.
Thank you.
Karen Pontius, city resident.
Hi there. My name is Karen Pontius. I live in Durango. I speak tonight to ask our city councils to reconsider the draft resolution that will stifle speech by our citizens about issues larger than this small town. Over 700 of us now have signed a petition to ask city council for a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Beth Miller of Jewish Voices for Peace says, polls show that 60% of American voters and 80% of Democratic voters are in favor of a ceasefire. And while a given city or town passing a resolution might not impact foreign relations, ceasefire resolutions are a form of protest that magnifies that outlook. They're one way to amplify the voices of the majority of American voters who support a permanent ceasefire. These initiatives send a message to our members of Congress and the Biden administration around what their voters want. Miller concedes that despite the polls, there are plenty of opponents, but she believes that the resolutions have the potential to open a dialogue about the war. Our communities can't live in fear of debate and uncomfortable conversations, she says. The Herald piece yesterday said the city doesn't have a formal policy when it comes to limiting public comments. Let's see, just because we don't want bad actors, we can't limit the good actors, and all the speakers on this topic have been peaceful and orderly. We're asking for council to represent this small town by joining with other towns and cities in denouncing violence and supporting humanitarian efforts with a request for a ceasefire. As said before, it's a symbolic but powerful protest to try something to stop this war. Again, I ask council to advocate for the values of Snowdown, peace and love, and pass a symbolic resolution. Glenwood Spring just became number 1. Let's be number 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ellis McNichol, city resident.
Hi, everyone. I want to first name that I'm nervous. This is a scary thing to do. And I want to say wonderful job to everyone who has shared their heart and shared their voice. I'm here as a child caretaker. I grew up in Durango. I've been caring for children for the last 10 years. And so for me, my motivation with this war is the impact on children. Many of your community members have been following this war since October 7th and far before as well. It weighs on the hearts of so many of your community members. And our international leaders have failed us again and again. And I truly believe that now is the opportunity for small but mighty local governance to take action. The idea that Durango is an insulated system from the rest of the world is not only dangerous, but is also untrue. We are an interwoven, connected world, and what happens in another country is directly bound to us, and we are responsible for it. Our responses and outrage reflect the severity of what Palestine has been experiencing over the last 150 days. Some 30,000 human lives have been lost, a third of them being children. A third of them being children. Just last week, human beings who have been starved were waiting for flour and were massacred. The tactics and methodology of this war are mirroring genocidal activity, and I strongly oppose this resolution as a person who's grown up in this community. What's going on is egregious, and the harm will ripple for generations. However, calling for a ceasefire now sends a clear and direct message to our larger government that what's happening is not okay and that Palestinian lives matter. And I also want to thank Oliver Bozeman for speaking out and honoring the time and energy that your constituents and community members are putting into this, because us showing up here, using our voices and speaking on behalf of a global issue
This is up, sorry.
is democracy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Fadil, city resident.
Hi, my name is Michael Fadel. I'm a Palestinian. I'm a resident of the city of Durango. I'd like to thank the city council members for allowing me to speak on 11-1 that was tabled. The objective of public comments here is to try and persuade each one of you to vote in a particular way. Sadly, I fear anything I say here in my 3 minutes will not impact your decision. I worry that your minds are made up. Hopefully that will not be the case, but I fear it is. The Sunday Herald wrote that you all have stated that proposed policy is needed to prevent hate speech. Let's be very clear. That's a red herring. Mayor Yosef, you say every meeting before the public comments that, quote, we will immediately cut you off if there's any mention of hate speech. So let's please stop acting unethically by repeating this fallacy. Additionally, after the last city council meeting, in a discussion with some of you, one mentioned that 45 minutes was spent on the ceasefire public comments. However, all public comments in the last meeting lasted only 32 minutes, and 11 of the total commenters, only 7 spoke about the ceasefire resolution, taking up 22 minutes, not 45. Again, please stop misrepresenting facts. Despite over 700 signatures and public comments over the last 3 meetings, the city council has refused to vote on it. And yet you blame us for fulfilling our civic duty. Do not blame the commenters for wasting your time. Bring the resolution to a vote. City council members, it's your duty to support Durango's mission statement. Part of the mission statement is to be, quote, ethical, unquote, and, quote, to improve the quality and lives of our entire community, unquote. Improve the quality of your entire community. Yet more than 500 members of your community, 700 members, your constituents have said that this is an important topic for the quality of their life, and yet you continue to ignore the Durango community. What's going to take for you to hear us? Does Durango have to have our own Aaron Bushnell light himself on fire, giving his own life, because the quality of his life and mental state was so badly impacted by the situation? Is that really what it's going to take? As our elected officials to city council, I don't have to tell you, it's your responsibility to represent your constituents. But despite this ongoing efforts to show how important this is to your community, you choose to ignore the people who you're supposed to represent. If you haven't seen the high school play Urinetown, you really should.
Thank
Even
you.
our high schoolers understand the obligation that you have as elected officials.
Thank
Free
you.
Palestine.
Thank you.
Michael Kaiser, not a city resident.
Michael Kaiser. Okay, we'll move on.
That was the last person signed up.
Okay, thank you.
Signed up.
This is Adam Howell.
This list was pulled when the mayor announced the item. Did you sign up after that?
He did enter late. I'll entertain the comment if council will. You can let us know what item will you be speaking on, Mr. Howell?
Hi, my name is Adam Howell. I'm a city resident. I'm speaking on resolution that was just tabled.
Okay, we'll limit that to 2 minutes then, just for your information.
So just to give some context, I believe that the resolution that was tabled is one that would prohibit city council from passing any legislation that would talk about matters of international political controversy. It would also prohibit any types of ideological topics. So I am here to speak out against this resolution mainly because I believe that it's unconstitutionally vague. I'd encourage everybody to read about the vagueness doctrine. So basically what I mean by that is that it's so broad in scope that its power would be arbitrary in the topics that it would prohibit the city council from passing legislation on. So for instance, a topic that it could exclude would be purchases that the city of Durango makes from international sources, such as, you know, components for ski lifts at Chapman Hill or sodium fluoride that the city of Durango purchases from Shanghai, China. I think these are topics that we should be able to pass legislation on if we want to. We shouldn't be excluding discussion or legislation about topics of these international concerns. And then when I read the public comment rules here, I'm drawn to some other topics, some other areas that I believe are unconstitutionally vague. You know, it's saying that comments such as personal attacks, profanity, hate speech, derogatory remarks.
Mr. Howell, that's 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. All right, with that, we will conclude our public comment on non-agenda items. We'll give everyone a round of applause. I'm going to call for a recess. I'm going to move on to item 15. Okay, recess. Back up, we have one person virtually that wanted to comment, but we were unable to hear that individual because it came a little bit disruptive. So let's go ahead and have that individual speak, please. We can for public comment.
Yes, Mayor, I'm bringing in Shelley.
Shelley, if you can let us know, please, if you're a resident of the city and what item you will be speaking on tonight.
It appears.
Okay, okay, left the meeting. Thank you. So we will move on to other new business from council. Do we have any other new business from councilors? Seeing none, we will move on to the executive session portion of our meeting. Do I have a motion from council?
I am sorry, but I think you skipped an agenda item, Mayor.
16.
Requests for excused absences. Sorry, Councilor Bosman's. Thank you. Do we have any requests for excused absences?
Yes, I will very likely not be able to attend the March 12th meeting. I will try to do so via Zoom, but I will be traveling. So I'm requesting an excused absence.
Do we have a motion to excuse Councilor Bosman's from a live attendance at the March 12th meeting?
So, yes.
Yes,
moved.
second.
Not just live, yeah, potentially both live and Zoom.
And, okay, if I understand you correctly, Councilor Bosman's, you may not be present at all.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So he's looking for an excused absence for March 12th. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie.
Yes.
Any other excused absences? Right. Excellent. Thank you. All right, with that, moving on to executive session, do I have a motion from council? And we'll need to read it, I believe. So moved. I think you have to read.
Yeah. I move to convene an executive session to discuss the purchase, acquisition, lease, sale, or transfer of an interest in real property known as Buckley Park that is currently owned by the 9R School District and to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation and direct negotiators as permitted by CRS 24-6-402 4A and E.
I'll second. Council discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef.
Yes. All right.
Move with the second. You can do it at the same time.
Okay.
You just have to
We
move
have
out
a
here to
motion.
do both.
Point 2, please.
I move to convene an executive session to discuss the purchase, acquisition, lease, sale, or transfer of an interest in real property located in downtown Durango that is currently leased to the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Company for parking and to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation and direct negotiators as permitted by CRS 24-6-402 4A and E.
I'll second. Council discussion? Roll call, please, Faye.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
Yes.
Thank you. We will convene into executive session.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we're good.
And is Counselor Bosman's on? There he is. Okay. This time is now 8, probably 26 PM. And the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were Gil Diaz, Dave Woodruff, Olivier Bosmans, Melissa Youssef, Mark Morgan, Jose Madrigal, and Kelly Schmidt. For the record, council met in executive session to discuss the purchase, acquisition, lease, sale, or transfer of an interest in real property known as Buckley Park that is currently owned by the 9R School District, and determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation and direct negotiators as permitted by CRS 24-6-4024A and E. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record now. Seeing none, do I have a motion from council?
I move to authorize the city manager to negotiate a purchase price for Buckley Park as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Council discussion. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
Yes.
Motion carries. For executive session, for the second executive session, the time is now 8:27. The executive session has been concluded. Participants in this executive session were Gilda Yazzie, Dave Woodruff, Olivier Bosmans, Melissa Youssef, Mark Morgan, Jose Madrigal, and Sarah Hill. For the record, council met in executive session to discuss the purchase, acquisition, lease, sale, or transfer of an interest in real property located in downtown Durango that is currently leased to the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Company for parking, and to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation and direct negotiators as permitted by CRS 24-6-4024A and E. For the record, if any participant who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the Opens Meeting Law, I ask that you state your concerns for the record now. Seeing none, may I have a motion from council?
I move to authorize the city manager and city attorney to negotiate a purchase agreement with Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad for the real property located in downtown Durango that is currently leased to them.
Second.
Council discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
No, sorry.
Oh, excuse
Mayor
me.
Youssef.
Okay.
I had indicated during the meeting that I will make a comment, so I appreciate that opportunity. I also asked the city attorney what I cannot and can say during this public session. And the only thing that was excluded would be the numbers that we gave direction on. So my position here is that I will vote against this motion for two main reasons. The first one is we do not need the money since we have over $100 million in total fund balance across all the different funds, including restricted. And the transportation department that would get any of those funds is already funded fully for this year and can continue to be funded in future years if council decides to do so. The second reason is that this is a valuable property for our community, and we had already gone through a request for proposal process for potential development of that property. And this property could be used for a number of solutions, being a convention center, a mixed-use retail residential center, a farmer's market, and many more types that benefit our community. And the Durango train had even included their option. And if this property would be sold, the city would have lost a great opportunity and an asset, with the only reason to have extra money on top of the over $100 million in total fund balance that we still have. Instead of direction given in executive session and negotiations behind closed doors, I would prefer to see some transparency and community involvement in the future of that property. Hence, my vote against these negotiations.
Any other council discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Vospins.
Nope.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved, and I will second both motions. All in favor? Any opposed?